Yo, what's up? How's it going? Subscribe to my channel, like this video. That's all. Today I want to talk about self-love. Right away, I noticed that there kind of is a little bit of a division on opinions about self-love. Some people downplay it, some people, of course, endorse it. But for some reason, it's kind of this thing where it's like touch and go, like, I don't know if I should love myself or not. Like, as if it's fucking rocket science, like, figure it out. Go figure, you had to love yourself. So already, I'm coming out hot with this one. Because some people just like to downplay it. And it's a little bit annoying to me. They'd be like, yeah, self-love is great, but it's not the whole story or whatever. Or being skeptical about it. Like, I don't know if self-love works. Or talking about affirmations and all this other things. And I kind of don't get it, to be honest. Once you know about self-love, is it not obvious that you should be loving yourself? I guess one problem really is that a lot of people don't even know what love is. Especially unconditional love. These days, and probably since ever, unconditional love has been really rare. Almost nobody knows what it is or what it looks like until you experience it for yourself. And then you're like, oh, that's what that is. And then you look back and you say, oh, that's what that was. Not, or whatever. And really, that's what self-love needs to be anyways, is unconditional. Because that's the whole problem with trying to love yourself, but then being hard on yourself and putting gratification and pride, happiness, joy behind barriers until you complete certain goals. That's called conditional love. You're supposed to meet your goals, and then when you meet your goals, you'll feel fulfilled or happy or complete or whole or whatever it is you're trying to do. Good enough, confident, brave. The list can go on. But essentially the idea is conditional love, especially for yourself, but with others too, is it basically works as this way. Where you don't experience the full amount of love and appreciation for yourself until you become a certain thing, a certain way, a certain level of good enough. You learn a certain skill, you do a certain thing, you achieve a certain goal. A lot of these things, a lot of the truths I will say in the coming videos are going to sound obvious. Because they are. But the reality is, they're all hidden behind smoke and mirrors, literally and figuratively, metaphorically. And it's really because you're trying to hide from yourself. You've been taught to hide from yourself. You've been taught to be little. Or you taught yourself how to. But either way, it's really up to you to undo the conditioning. But, and so a lot of people aren't even prepared to look at the obvious, to look at the thing that's so obvious and plain and right in their face. They just can't, for a lot of different reasons and excuses and justifications. we're all guilty of this behavior to some degree. It's nobody's fault in the sense that, you know, someone's better than the other. But this is how toxic people look at it. When somebody does rise and become happy, I don't mean and you know, there's this whole stigma about rich people and shit, and how they're happy. And people literally want to kill rich people. It's not even, I mean, maybe they could be exaggerating or joking or whatever, but the rhetoric exists where people want to kill rich people because they have money and they're happy. That's literally toxic ways of thinking. But you have to look at it from the other perspective of, well, how am I going to get rich? How am I going to get money? And then when you finally do, suddenly you experience these levels of sabotage where you feel like the whole world hates you. Oh, big fucking wonder why, right? So you have to let go of these conditioned ideas about wealth, prosperity, happiness, and blah, 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 blah. Because, really, ain't nobody, you know, I don't know. I mean, there are lucky people in the world, and there are unfortunate people in the world. But the only one stopping you from being a better you, or from really, more importantly, loving yourself, is you. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. A lot of people aren't even ready to look at the ways that they aren't loving themselves. It's obvious if you really want to look at it, but a lot of people aren't. So when you hear my truths and the words that I speak, you have to come at it from a perspective of being an open-minded person. And then looking at yourself and being honest with how are you not loving yourself. One really obvious way that can be quickly turned around if you become aware of it is self-hate. Self-sabotage is a little more obscure. It's a little harder to fight, but self-hate is mostly all mental. And once you become aware of the ways that you hate yourself, you can just flip the script, literally. So like if you say you suck, just catch yourself thinking that you suck and then say, no, I don't suck. I'm awesome. And you do this for all of the negative self-talk that you do. You flip the script, flip the table, flip the narrative, go from negative to positive. And it's literally this easy when it comes to this particular mechanism or whatever, practice, behavior, habit. You catch yourself saying that you suck, that you're ugly, you know, that your life sucks, or whatever it happens to be. Catch yourself saying that, and then just consciously have the opposite thought. So like, I really suck at this game. And you may feel like you do, but just tell yourself, I'm really awesome at the game. I'm really awesome at the game, and then let it go. And if you can't let it go, just keep repeating it. I'm really awesome at the game. I'm really awesome at the game. And you do this with all of your negative self-talk. What you'll find is relatively quick success in whatever you're doing. Because suddenly you believe in yourself. And for a lot of people, that's all that it takes, is them to believe in themselves. People think they need like so much power and control and domination and all of these things to feel like they can just fucking ride a bike or some stupid, simple shit like that. You just get on the bike and go. But a lot of people don't believe in themselves. They're like, I suck at riding, I suck at pedaling or whatever. I can't ride no-handed. And it's those limiting self-talk beliefs that for a lot of the time, a lot of people, that's the only thing holding them back, is believing they can't do it. Once you flip the script and believe you can do it, suddenly everything shifts and things become possible. It doesn't mean you suddenly don't have to work for anything, because there will be things that you want to achieve or go after that will require more work or more practice, more skill, whatever it happens to be. It doesn't automatically make you good enough, but for a lot of the time, you're already better than you think you are. You're already ready. You just don't believe it. And this is kind of what growing up is about, in a way, especially when you become an adult. You have to grow into believing that you're good enough and stuff like this. It's hard to grow out of the childish frame of reference that we all have, that we're all, that we all lived through. We've all been kids. But when we aren't faced with trials that are like super bad, like some people really go through hard times and then they push through it. Some of them push through it and become better, and then they know their worth through that. But through other people who just live normal lives, and we're all grateful that we live normal, happy lives, but we all still know we're not happy, we're depressed, we're lonely, we're single, we suck, whatever. It can be hard to remember our self-worth through this long period of stagnation. And this is what pushing your boundaries through getting out of your comfort zone is supposed to do. Is to help you remember your worth. And you don't have to go and do crazy shit like skydiving or, I don't know, like, you don't have to, like, do the most insane thing ever. You can if you want, if that's what you want to do. But all you really need to do is change and do something different. Go somewhere different. Do something that you haven't done, maybe that you want to do, or maybe that you don't want to do. But you do it anyway. Not because it's like hard or that it's work or something like that, but just something that you don't feel like doing, but then you do it. And through all of this uncomfortable action, you will begin to remember who you are and grow into your worth. And become more worthy too, on top of it. On top of everything else, once you get out of your comfort zone, you not only remember who you are, remember your worth, but you acknowledge the worth that you currently have, that you've spent time building up, that you spent time taking care of. And I'm kind of getting lost on tangents, but a large portion of doing this is becoming who you are and recognizing your worth is by just flipping the script. Whenever you have negative self-talk, change it to positive and let it go. Don't think it, don't overthink it, don't dwell and be like, well, am I really that good? Stop questioning and doubting and shit. That's just only hurting your own ego or whatever, your own self-confidence, your self-esteem. So just believe it and then let it go and move on. So that's one practice you can do. But there is actually quite a large list of other things you can do to love yourself. People often resort to affirmations, especially talking in the mirror. And then this is also where some of the skepticism comes in, where they're like, oh, I don't know if affirmations really work. Maybe I shouldn't love myself. Like, just calm down a little bit, okay? First of all, that's not the only answer. Second of all, affirmations are not just about like actively loving yourself, but it's also about rewiring your brain to make yourself believe that you are what you want to be without having to go out and do crazy shit. Just know. It's a knowing. That's what affirmations are for. To build up a knowing within yourself. Rather than self-doubt, self-sabotage, self-attack. So that's what affirmations can do. But it's just the tip of the iceberg, to be honest, because what you really have to do is ask yourself, how would you love somebody else? What would you do to show love for somebody else? How would you act around somebody else that you really do love unconditionally? What would that look like? And then put yourself in those shoes. So, like, a good example of what I'm thinking of right now is, like, what if your partner was upset, crying, freaking not okay, right? What would you do? Would you just tell her to suck it up, get over it, be a man? You gotta stop crying, toughen up. Or would you, console her and, keep her company, tell her it's okay, probably hug her, and just, be there for her. Don't give advice, because that's only more stressful. Advice without the medicine is just adding on stress. So, put yourself in those shoes. Everybody cries. Your girlfriend isn't going to be the only one in your relationship crying. I don't know if you realize that or not, but there will come a time where you're going to cry too, in front of her. One of these days, if you haven't. And, but without her, what would you do for yourself? How would loving yourself look like? Would you just stuff it all down, bottle it up, tell yourself it's okay? People go through worse things. Is that what you'd tell your girlfriend? People go through worse shit than you do. You need to stop crying. Is that what you'd say? Or would you say, it's okay, Ryan. It's okay, Ryan. We did our best. Shit happens. Hug myself. Hold myself. Comfort myself. And this is where a lot of mental battles are fought too. Because people don't even know how to love themselves. People don't know how to love themselves. And then people always say, well, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? It's fucking true. And the more you do love yourself, the more you realize what unconditional love begins to look like. And it's kind of an exponential thing, to be honest. Once you start, it builds up more and more and more. You get a deeper and deeper respect for yourself. You get deeper and deeper love, to the point where if you're by yourself, if you're single, then you're the only thing that matters. You don't care about all these exterior fucking bullshits anymore. All the drama, all the needless bullshit online and everything else. It just kind of falls away. All of your problems that don't matter fall away. All of the things you dwelled on fall away. One by one, the dominoes get knocked over. So Look at yourself and say, how would I love somebody else if I were in this position? And this goes for everything, not just being upset. You be there with yourself, you defend yourself, you save yourself. You excite yourself. You be happy for yourself. You can make a list. I have a list. I made a list, but there you can make a whole list of things that you can do that are loving of yourself. Actions you can take, ways of thinking that you can undergo for yourself. Suddenly your relationship with you becomes a lot less shallow, a lot less on the surface level, and you kind of fulfill yourself in that way. And that's why people always kind of say you are the love that you're lacking and all these things. Whatever you desire on the outside is actually craved on the inside. It sounds kind of cringe, it sounds kind of but that's just kind of that frame of reference that you don't love yourself. It's cringy to love yourself, isn't it? But when you actually do it, when you get to it, it's like it's the only thing that makes sense anymore. Loving yourself isn't just a thing that you do like to counteract hating yourself. People may say, if you feel the need to love yourself, that just says how much you hate yourself. But that's just kind of fucking stupid, to be honest, because you need to love yourself no matter what. That's the unconditional part. Even if you do hate yourself, we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do something wrong. But that's the unconditional part. That's the part where you say, it doesn't matter when, where, why, how, what, how long, for what reason. You just love yourself anyways. You keep loving yourself. You keep doing it. It's not an action that is supposed to propel you to this new height and then suddenly you're good. No, you're supposed to love yourself until you fucking die. You should. If you don't, you're doing something wrong. In yourself, not with somebody else. Of course, it's different for everybody. It's harder for some people than it is for others. Really, it's not easy for anybody, though. There's always going to be a reason not to love yourself. You just have to not buy into it. And this is where a lot of the people-pleasing and, fake masks comes in. Because instead of loving yourself and relying on your own self-love to feel fulfilled and good enough, you begin looking to the exterior and saying, if I have this thing, I'll feel loved. If I have these people's approval, I'll feel loved. If I have this, and that, I'll feel loved. If they approve of me, then I approve. And then the cycle begins where you'll love their love for you more than you love yourself. And it's super toxic, and it just makes you hate yourself more. And it's subtle at first. You don't notice it. It's this very gradual decay of the love that you have for yourself. And this is what depression really is. This very gradual, but consistent, and if unchecked, detrimental system that people develop. And of course, a lot of kids grow up feeling this way. it's really hard to just help kids. At least when I was a kid, it seemed as though it was hard to help all of the kids like feel like they were good enough. It's actually kind of reminds me of a song, "Safer in Here" by, I forget, but the music video is some animation where everything was plain and boring and everybody won and lost at the same time. But anyways, yeah, need to stop caring what people think of you. You gotta stop caring about what other people think of you. Start caring about what you think of you. And it's not gonna be easy, I'm telling you. And this is another thing about what the truths that I do tell you. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be quick. It's not gonna be. It may not be something everybody can do, to be honest with you. That's just kind of the hard truth about it. Not everybody is fairly equipped to love themselves. But doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And you will go through periods of feeling not okay. For a lot of different reasons. It's really personal, but that's your journey. And you really only have two choices. You can continue to hate yourself and please others, or you can love yourself and stop caring what others think. Either way, I mean, a quote I love to try and embody is, you choose your hard. You choose the hard choice that you want. You choose your hard, because it's hard either way. You can continue this path of self-destruction, or you can go down the path of self-love. The sooner you start loving yourself, the better. And it does get better, but you have to stay firm in this lane of loving yourself. It's not always easy, and it's not always going to be consistent. But you have to try. You have to try anyways. You're going to find periods where you're stuck. You're going to find times where you feel like you can't do anymore. You're going to run into places where you really don't feel good enough. But you just have to convince yourself anyways that you are. The goal at the end is to enjoy life. Enjoy your life. Enjoy being alive. That's the whole point. I mean, you could look at your life right now and ask yourself, how much are you enjoying your life? You could look at each aspect of your life, your work, your relationships, the things you do, the habits you have, the addictions you contribute to. You can look at all these things and ask yourself, how happy does each of these things make me? How much do I enjoy each of these things? And the truth is, you're not going to know the answer to that immediately upon me asking you these questions. You could have an artificial and a shallow answer of yes or no. You could have a defensive answer of yes or no. But until you really look inside yourself and ask yourself at a core level of whether you really do enjoy doing this thing or not, you probably don't know, unless you've already gotten to that point. If I'm presenting the question to you for the first time, I'm guessing you don't know the answer to it. So you have to go find out. And that's part of the self journey, is finding out what you actually do and don't enjoy. Asking yourself, when you do the thing that you're doing, do you enjoy the thing that you're doing? It takes a lot of self-awareness, and this is a painful process as well. Being self-aware can be eye-opening and helpful, but it's also really hard to go through. It reminds me of that meme from one of the, what is it called? I forget the name of the movie now. Men in Black. Where I think it was Will Smith who asked, "Is it worth it?" And his partner, I forget his name. He's like, "Oh, it's worth it if you're strong enough." That's pretty much that pretty much ties it all together. Fairly accurately. And this is what I was saying before too, because not everybody's going to really be successful at it. Of course, it'll take time. You won't even know until you try. That's the thing. But at the same time, as hard as it like really is internally, because it's fucking hard. I'm not gonna downplay that. But as hard as it is to really love yourself and be authentic, it's actually kind of easy. I mean, how hard is it really to love yourself? Like, how much of it are you asking of yourself to do that? Is it really not that worth it to you to not love yourself, to just continue, oh yeah, well, that's okay. I'd rather have people that don't really love me approve of my behavior because what they say matters more or whatever. This is a good time to bring up boundaries. I chose not to have boundaries for a reason. I wanted to be stronger without them. I wanted to see how far I could get without having any boundaries, dissolving all of my boundaries and just saying, fuck it, I'm just gonna let life happen to me. And I don't recommend it. It kind of worked, but it came at a cost. So I don't recommend just going through life without any boundaries. They're very important. They're very useful. And you need to use them to protect yourself from the people that are trying to take advantage of you. But at the same time, you can't be hiding from life either. You need to keep pushing into your uncomfortable zone. Keep trying to discover who you are, make new memories, meet new people, say new things, do new things, say what you have on your mind. You don't always have to, but it's a good practice to do. It's not going to be easy, but it's not that hard. I feel like there are harder things in the world. I would rather love myself than skydive. I'll tell you that. I would rather love myself every day than go skydiving. Of course, one day I may. I don't know. I haven't been skydiving before, but in terms of how easy it is, I haven't been skydiving, but I'm just gonna take a wild guess and say loving myself is easier than skydiving. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So, I say this for a lot of things. I think it resonates true. Maybe you'll agree. The hardest part about doing anything is starting it. It's really hard to start doing something, even if you've done it before. If you got to this place where you put off your own enjoyment of doing the things you enjoy, the hardest part about doing it is starting. But even when you do start doing something like that, it's hard to enjoy it. But you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying to enjoy your life. Keep trying to love yourself. The hardest part about it is the process. The process of unhating yourself, because it's a big one. For some people, it's a really big one. And it can be overwhelming. You could be facing a lot of challenges in life. But you got to start somewhere. That's the hardest part. There's two hardest parts. The starting and the process. It's all hard. I don't fucking know. But yeah. Starting is hard, and then going through the process is hard. The easy part is being honest with yourself, being self-aware. It's really not that hard. You're already halfway there, most of you. But yeah. Gotta love yourself. Anyway, I guess that's about all I have to say. Hope this was helpful. Bye for now.